Alright, we will be talking about rape as a weapon of war. Not the most fun topic, but seemed interesting, and you don't often get to look up something like that, so I thought I'd look at it a little more in depth. Alright, so it's definitely something that is more prevalent in the third world than the first or the second world. I'll get into a little bit more specifics about countries or locations and whatnot and reasons why that is later. It has always been a factor in war from as far back as our annals can tell us. Recently is when it's been viewed as a war crime and declared as a war crime. I'll get into that a little bit more later as well, but that is a more recent development that has been crucial into reducing the act significantly. And it says recently criminalized in 1996. One of my sources said that it got that label in 1996 from the International Criminal Tribunal when they started prosecuting people who had done the act, among other war crimes. But from what I can tell in some of my other sources, it has been included sooner than that. So it might have been it just gained its very specific label in 1996, but it's still been viewed as a punishable act of some sort. So we all know what rape is effectively. It's the unwanted sexual penetration. Other advances would just be sexual assault or CSC, criminal sexual conduct. But as far as we'll be talking about today in this PowerPoint, it is any sexual assault or sexual violence during conflict, since we are refining ourselves to the warfare perspective and not domestic abuse or domestic violence. So it is anything from sexual advances to penetration to anything, really. Displays. The reason why it is used is because it is a very effective scare tactic. It's great psychological warfare. It just disrupts entire communities with its use. Because of its prevalence in Eastern European and Middle Eastern countries, specifically third world ones, it tears apart communities because they have outmoded views when it comes to they have differing views than when it comes to us, and they're quite likely to blame the woman and punish the woman for being raped. So not only are women being raped, but then it pits the sexes against each other in these communities, and it tears communities apart. And so if they hear that a military group is heading toward their village or town and it's prone to rape, well, that's gonna have some adverse reactions and effects on the landscape. So these are some of the different things that were put into act, mostly by the UN, in order to kind of globally deal with rape as a weapon of war. The 1820 UN resolution was put forth by the UN Security Council, so it's not really a treaty, but it's something that they put forward as a kind of a defense of women and defense of human rights sort of a report. The 1949 Geneva Convention, which we've all heard of before, and then different UN treaties: the right to life, liberty, and security of person, the right to equality and freedom from discrimination treaty, and the right to be free from torture. All these treaties were put forward by the UN and have been generally accepted by the first and second world associated with the UN. While my sources didn't go specifically into stating each and every country that backed each of these treaties, I think the one that gave it a number was the Right to be Free from Torture, and it said that 104 countries at that time were backing it. And so there's a good show of support for these treaties, and they're non-specific when it comes to sexual assaults during conflict. They're all much broader applications of human rights protections, life, liberty, and security of person, equality and freedom from discrimination, and the right to be free from torture. And the Geneva Convention, of course, none of them are specifically targeted at sexual assault or sexual violence as pertains to conflict, but it is all something that they cover. They're all covering that, because sexual violence as a part of conflict is a violation of life, liberty, and security of person. It is a violation of equality and freedom from discrimination, and it is a form of torture, so it is a violation of a person's right to be free from torture. So, like I was saying earlier, the biggest issues biggest point of issue with rape with sexual violence in conflict is the third world. Specifically places like Bosnia, Turkey, and Moldova. We've seen a lot of issues with it. We're still seeing a lot of issues. But overall, it's reduced, because in basically every country's history, they have had some sort of sexual violence in conflict. Even during the United States' Civil War, there were letters that were pertaining to the topic that we need to defend the women from this sort of thing. So no country is truly, unless it's super new and hasn't done anything yet, no country is without their history of sexual violence and warfare and conflict. So while we've reduced it through all this support through the UN and from the first and second world countries, it's still an issue in more developing countries. The reason why I've written down questionable effectiveness is my sources put that it's just a hard thing to gauge. You don't know who would have been raped, you don't know how many rapes were subsided. There have been some reports of, the International Criminal Tribunal successfully prosecuting people who engaged in sexual violence during conflicts. And so that's good. That's success story. Not good that they got raped, but it's good that their rapers were punished. They got prosecuted. They were found guilty of doing the act. And those that I just referenced were Bosnian military police during one of their conflicts. So this is just doing another rundown of things I've already stated, where it's majorly a third world issue, and we have had positive results from enforcement. I don't think any country, I wasn't able to find evidence of any country outright going against these treaties and whatnot, just outright defying them, just for the sake of saying that we're still going to do this. Mostly I think that groups that are still doing this are doing it just as, the base military tactic, not as an interdependent or anti-globalist action. So I think as things go on, and as we keep moving forward as a people, that we will eventually eliminate this issue. Thank you.